What's happening, guys? Welcome to Let's Talk Comics, and today I want to talk about Uncle Rob's Badrock #1. Now, after reading his Youngblood 100, I swore that I would never buy another new Rob Liefeld book, and I didn't because I had store credit at the shop, and I used that store credit to pick up Badrock #1 because I wanted to see what he had to offer, and boy am I glad that I did not pay any money for this. I don't really like doing negative videos. I don't like talking negatively about stuff, because part of the reason I don't like doing it is there's so much negativity online that, I feel like why add more to it? And, I should concentrate on the positive. And just because something is bad doesn't mean that people involved didn't work really hard on it. And, it's always better to be positive than it is negative. So I really don't like doing that type of thing. But the reason I'm going to do this video is because I wanted to see what a Rob Liefeld written book was all about. I read Youngblood, and Youngblood, like I said previously, was terrible. Youngblood 100, that is, was terrible. So I thought to myself, well, I'll pick this Badrock up. I am a long time, I'm very familiar with Rob's work. I quit calling myself a fan of his recently because of his social media persona and the way he acts and treats people and the grifting that he does. So I wanted to pick this book up and take a look at it to see what he had to offer. And I say this with no hyperbole. This is probably the worst written thing I've ever seen, I've ever read. Is essentially like a child wrote this book. Like, this is something that I probably could have wrote when I was in 7th or 8th grade. Any type of storytelling, any of the fundamentals of storytelling are out the window. This is all just this was probably written, if I had to guess, Rob probably wrote this story in maybe 45 minutes, maybe 30 minutes or something like that. I was going to have it right here and crack it open, but I'm going to put it down here. So it really, like I said before, I can't believe that a grown man wrote this, and I can't believe, let alone a grown man that's been working in the industry for as long as he has, wrote this. I'm not going to really talk about the artist, Seth Demus or whatever it is, ever how you pronounce that last name. The art is fine. It's kind of a almost like a teen style or a young adult style art, kind of like an anime style feel to it. I'm just going to focus on the storytelling and the writing of it. We open up right here with young Badrock punching this guy, saying, "Give me back my mom." And then they have conversation. What happened? What happened to your mom has nothing to do with me, Junior. Not now. Not ever. If dying is what you're into, you've definitely picked the right fight with the wrong guy. I'm going to pound the truth out of you, fat hole. And then this guy, he says, "I've lost everything because of you. Time to remove you from the timeline. Do the universe a favor. You've always been more bark than bite, kiddo. Only thing bad about you is your name, Rocky. I just need to know what happened to my mother. If there's a shred of decency left in you. I told you, kid, I was paid to grab your mom and deliver you both to the contractor. Everything after was above and beyond my pay grade. Everything went to hell shortly after I delivered you and Mommy. If I could go back, I would have never taken that bounty, not for any amount of money." So this is kind of like this is the present. This is the present in the story, which we don't see the fact that this is any of the present. You know, it's only till we see this page here that says months earlier. These two guys are fighting. Badrock and who this guy is fighting. We don't know who this guy is. Badrock never mentions his name. He doesn't mention the history they have. There's no reference to who this guy is, how they know each other. You know, what this guy's first appearance is, if anything. He says, I lost everything because of you. We don't know nothing about that. So already we just have people fighting for no reason whatsoever. You know, characters that we don't have any outside of Badrock. You know, Badrock fighting an anonymous villain. So to me, this is just, it's automatically just all confusing from the start. And then we get into some of the worst parts of it. We go back to young Badrock's family's house, his mother's house, and Badrock and his mom, he's in his mom's kitchen, he's having breakfast, and his mom says, you sure do live an exciting life, Thomas, never a dull moment. One thing's for certain, you've more than earned your time off. Thank you for all the sacrifices you've made for this country, son. I love you so much. Okay, that's, you know, that feels like something a robot would say. You know, there's no, like this character here, the mom's character, that's all she is just mom. There's nothing about him, you know, there's nothing about her that distinguishes her from any other sort of character whatsoever. Now tell your mama, what are your big vacation plans? Now this is part right here is what really gets to me. I plan on seeing a whole lot of movies, Mom. As many as I can. Really hoping Nolan delivers with the Odyssey. Need Marvel to turn things around. The Feige flops are for real. New Spider-Man should be solid. And then he's got a Rob Servations t-shirt on. Really what we have right here is just Rob is using Badrock as a mouthpiece for himself. If you follow Rob on social media, you'll know all he talks about is Marvel's shortcomings, how the movies don't do as good as they used to. You know, he's even got Rob Servations t-shirt on right there. And like I said, that to me, that's incredibly tacky. That's incredibly tacky to do that, to use, you know, your character here is a mouthpiece for yourself, as you know, and like that, you know, that really is kind of just on brand for the pettiness that Rob is. These guys break into the house and they say, stand down, do as we say, and I won't kill your mom, on the ground. Now, Badrock is a character who is a huge stone Goliath. He's a character that is in the vein of Ben Grimm the Thing. Hard exterior hide, superhuman strength, incredibly durable. So he gets shot with a taser and that knocks him out. Makes no sense whatsoever. They grab his mom. They try and Badrock tries to fight back. He's fighting. And then we get a little small recap here. Little origin. As a young boy, Thomas John McCall was desperate to change his life. He broke into his dad's lab and drank an experimental serum developed for the military. On that day, he turned into the unstoppable Badrock. But it isn't very unstoppable with one taser blast. Shocks the hell out of him and blasts him down. He fights for truth and justice. He defends the weak. Today he fights for his family. And his mom, she just says, she's like an old video game character. At the end of the video game where you rescue the girlfriend, I'm here. You saved us. Then this guy shows up. This is the guy from the beginning of the book. And we find out that his name is Girth. Basically, they kind of blah, blah, blah talk. Badrock's mom gets shot with a tranquilizer dart. 2 tranquilizer darts. Really. Huge tranquilizer darts. Badrock gets punched in the face. Then he gets electrocuted again. Then he blacks out. And again, there seems to be some sort of history between these two, but we don't find nothing else about it. There's no editor's notes. You know, Girth first met Badrock in, you know, blah, blah, blah issue or whatever. Badrock's knocked out. Then he comes to, he wakes up, he's surrounded by all these kids. I guess these are like local neighbor kids or whatever. And then he has this note. We have your mom. Proceed to the airship. Follow these coordinates or whatever. And the kids ask for a shot. You know, can we get a picture with you? Or can we get a picture of you? Man, he doesn't even let him take a selfie with him. And he says his catchphrase. Then we have a little bit of dialogue right here. Badrock says, I told Youngblood I'd be unavailable indefinitely as I pursue my mother. They gave me this ship, and they agreed to stay on the sidelines for this one. And then Badrock's talking about, you know, he's found a location. He's going to jump out the plane. And then this right here, he goes, I could use another shot of courage. Give me strength, God. Give me focus. Stay alive, Mom. I'll be there soon. The thought of screwing this up and losing you is simply unbearable. So we don't have, I mean, it just seems so paint by numbers, you know. And Badrock, why does Badrock say, give me strength, God, give me focus? No, has there been other iterations of Badrock that show him as being a young man of faith, that he believes in a higher power? But right here, he's just name dropping God just for some strange reason, you know. He jumps out of the thing. Away we go. And then this, I just stumbled across this earlier. The Arctic. We are deep into the tundra. Deep sonar. What does that say? Deep sonar blockers kept this off the drone radar. They're on dry land. Sonar is used for water and underwater. It's based off acoustics, but they're on dry land. Does Uncle Rob not understand that? Or does he not even care? Did he just grab a word out of the sky and say, hey, sonar, that sounds like it makes sense? Badrock bum rushes the thing, crashes into the building, and then there's just robots here. And these are very dinky looking robots. And then Badrock just acquiesces to them. He just says, they tell him, say, do exactly as instructed or suffer the consequences. And he's just like, okay, sure, why not? And then for someone who has insanely durable, invulnerable skin, they stick him with this needle. And then they injected him with something, or they drained him with something, and then it just reverts him back to being normal. It reverts him back to being, he says here, it can't be, I'm not Badrock anymore, I'm just a boy. So are you a boy? Are you a man? Are you a teenager? What are you? We're you know, we were all under the assumption from previous issues of Youngblood that Badrock was, you know, somebody who was 15, 16, 17, judging by the way he talked and his mannerisms. But here he says, I'm just a boy now. So all in all, and then it says next issue, Revelations. And then we have a couple of covers coming for next issue or whatever, including the Dark Knight Returns homage cover. But, you know, Rob, he's got a lot of guts. He's got a lot of guts and a lot of nerve to criticize the books that Marvel puts out. And he has the audacity to march this out. You know, and is that his right? Sure, whatever. You know, but you yourself, Rob, you can do no. You know, give us this juvenile book, this incredibly weak sauce effort. As someone who is a 40-year veteran of the industry, or ever how long he's been doing this, you know, since he was 19, 20 years old, and now he's 55. You know, come on. You should be ashamed of yourself that this is the effort you give you. Like I said, I can't believe a grown man could write this. I will not be picking up issue number 2, suffice it to say. And as I've said before, and I stand on business with this, that I will never give Rob another dollar of mine. And I know that means absolutely nothing. He's made his millions and will continue to make his millions. But I see the way he treats people online, and it's so incredibly petty and tacky, however you want to phrase it. And especially you have the nerve and the guts to treat people like that and to criticize Marvel and throw all the shade against the hardworking people who are doing work on those books. And then this is something that you yourself put out. Take a look in the mirror. You should be ashamed of yourself. Now, if you bought this book and you enjoyed it, then my hat's off to you. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you pick up issue 2. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I hope you pick up issue number 2. Don't let my feelings and what my thoughts are about this influence you. Lord knows I read a bunch of stuff that nobody else likes, so I don't want to be I don't want to be a turret on anybody's back seat. Read what you like. That's all I can say. But as someone who has a very complicated relationship with Uncle Rob and who has very strong feelings about him and his attitude, I just had to put my thoughts out about Badrock number 1. But Badrock number 1, hand in hand contender for the worst thing I've ever read, probably with this book right here, Youngblood number 100. Probably 1A and probably 1 and 1A of the worst 2 books I've ever read. And what's the common denominator right here? Let's take a look right at the top. Badrock, written, much like Youngblood, written by Rob Liefeld. But that is my review and take on Badrock number 1. Hopefully, you know what? I'm going to read something great after this to cleanse my palate. Hopefully you guys have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.